go. Give it one more second. It's still loading.
I'll wait to hear from you.
Yep. And go right ahead, go.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the July 9th public hearing for the Incorporated Village of Port Jefferson. Tonight, we only have one project before us, which we will introduce shortly. However, before I do, because our planning board chairman, Ray Tobias, had to recuse himself, I would like to ask alternate Joe Castellano to be a full sitting board member, a role he will have for the duration of this project. Oh, sorry. It's a role he will have for the duration of the project application before the planning board. So again, welcome to the planning board hearing for 1615 Main Street, known as Port Jefferson Crossing. You're welcome to view this hearing here on YouTube. If you would like to comment on the proposal during the public comment portion of the hearing, you may do so by the following methods. Clicking the link below to comment live using the raise hand function, Zoom link here. The question and answer function will not be used to interact with the planning board during the hearing. Calling in your comment live with the Zoom phone number, which is posted, or emailing the comment to Cindy Suarez at the Cindy Suarez, the planning board secretary, at csuarez, that's CSUAREZ at portjeff.com, PORTJEFF.com, or mailing your comment to the Building and Planning Department at 88 North Country Road, Port Jefferson, New York, 11777. All methods will be reviewed by the planning board and made part of the record. If commenting live, please be mindful of the following rules set forth by the planning board. 1, please state your name and address for the record and turn your attention to the stenographer to be sworn in. 2, a speaker's individual time to speak at a public hearing may be limited by the chair in order to accommodate all public comments in a timely manner. The board would ask that you, because of the high turnout, you keep a maximum of 3 minutes to any comments as much as possible. 3, speakers will address the planning board. Debate or discussion between the audience members and the speaker having the floor will not be permitted. 4, any speaker who fails to conform their conduct to the rules provided herein may be directed by the chair to cease speaking and leave the meeting. So for the purposes of the public hearing, I would ask Cindy Suarez to read the application into the record.
1615 Main Street, site plan development, application number 0540-18. Location, southeasternmost lot of Village, north side of Long Island Railroad Station and parking lot. Tax map number section 21, block 6, lots 7, 9.2, 9.3, and 15. Zoning C2 Central Commercial District. Applicant, Port Jefferson Crossing, care of Conifer Real Estate Developers. Property owner, Port Jefferson Crossing, care of Conifer Real Estate Developers. Contact Joanna Cuevas, Senior, Project Director, care of Conifer Real Estate Developers. Description: proposed 3-story mixed-use building on 4 continuous lots on the southeasternmost side of Main Street, adjacent to the Long Island Railroad Station parking lot. The parcel has 112 lineal feet of frontage on Main Street and proposes 3,200 square feet of ground floor retail use and 45 apartment units, 37 1-bedroom and 8 2-bedroom on a 29,566.88 square feet, which is 0.68 acres parcel. 48 parking stalls for the residents and 1 loading space are proposed in a covered underground garage accessed from a proposed new road Station Street. That will also provide ingress to the Long Island Railroad parking lot and will run one-way east and connect to Oakland Avenue.
Thank you, Cindy. For the public record, I would just like to enter into the record the procedural posture of the environmental review. Per Chapter 129 of the Village of Port Jefferson Code, the Village Environmental Quality Review, parentheses VEQR, this project is classified as a Type 1 action pursuant to Section 129-2B, 5, and 6. On January 17th, 2019, the Planning Board declared lead agency status. The applicant completed and submitted Part 1 of the full Environmental Assessment Form, FEAF. Part 1 of the FEAF does not identify any specific impacts for this project that were not considered in the draft and final generic impact statements of the 2030 Comprehensive Plan update of November 2014, specifically in Appendix C's S and T. The Part 2 of the FEAF was completed, and the Planning Board concurred that the proposed action will be carried out in conformance with the conditions and thresholds established for such actions in the GEIS and its finding statement. The board moved that no further secret action is required. When a formal generic EIS has been filed under this part, parentheses, as part of the adoption of a comprehensive plan, no further secret compliance is required if a subsequent proposed action will be carried out in conformance with the conditions and thresholds established for such actions in the generic EIS and its finding statements. Staff confirmed with the district DEC office that the GEIS done for the comprehensive plan is considered current and may be used to the extent that impacts anticipated for the proposed project have been considered in it. Moving on, is there a representative of the applicant who would like to present the project?
There's a number of folks here from the applicant's team. I'm going to promote Kathleen Deegan-Dixon to start, and maybe Kathleen can let us know who else we should promote to present the project.
Thank you.
Promoting Kathleen now. Kathleen, you are a panelist and you can unmute your mic and turn on your video if you'd like to.
Okay, give me 1 sec. I can't see where to do my picture, but okay.
I'm gonna send you a prompt. There you go.
Here we go. All right, here I am. How are you, everybody? Kathleen Deegan-Dixon, partner of Fercelli Deegan Tirana, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York, on behalf of the applicant. If you could promote Joanna Cuevas to, she's a principal at Conifer.
We'll do that right now.
Okay, there we go. Can everyone hear me?
And then we should also have Mark Owen, project manager for R&W Engineers.
Okay. Mark, I'll be promoting you now.
Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
How are we doing?
Good.
Well, thank you.
Okay. If the board will allow, I'd like to just give a brief summary and introduction of the proposed project. My name is Joanna Cuevas. I'm Senior Project Director for Conifer Realty with the address of 56 Railroad Avenue in Copiague, New York. May I begin?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So just a brief introduction on Conifer Realty.
I'm sorry to do a quick interruption, but if you wouldn't
Okay.
mind turning your attention to Jennifer Campbell, our stenographer, just to be sworn in.
Yes,
Would you please raise your right hand?
right now.
Your statements you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes. I
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, great, thank you. So just a brief introduction of Conifer Realty. We are a full service real estate company specializing in the development, construction management, and ownership of high quality, affordable workforce housing communities. Just to emphasize, we're not just a developer, we do manage and operate all of our properties. Conifer operates currently in 4 regions: New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. And we currently have over 1,100 units in 13 buildings on Long Island, either in development or in operation. Conifer Realty is working in partnership with Community Development Corporation of Long Island. Gwen O'Shea, the president and CEO of CDCLI, I believe is also logged into the meeting. CDCLI will play an integral role in the success of the proposed project, as they do with all of our Long Island projects. Port Jefferson Crossing is the proposed project. Presents an opportunity to create high quality workforce housing while furthering ongoing municipal revitalization efforts in the village of Port Jefferson. It is located in the uptown area of Port Jefferson, directly adjacent to the Port Jefferson Long Island Railroad Station on Main Street. The proposed mixed-use development will meet the objectives of the Port Jefferson Urban Renewal Plan and will advance the objectives listed in the 2030 Comprehensive Plan update by providing 45 workforce housing units to families and commuters, along with 3,100 square feet of ground floor retail space along Main Street. The project was also selected as a priority project by the Long Island Regional Economic Development Council in 2019, and we received ESD grants in association with that for the project. The building consists of 31 one-bedroom apartments and 8 two-bedroom apartments, targeted at households earning between 30%, 60%, and 95% area median income for Suffolk County. This constitutes an annual income of approximately $27,000 to $85,000 a year for the proposed unit types. The newly constructed 3-story building will be designed to meet energy efficiency standards within the Enterprise Green Communities program by offering Energy Star appliances, Energy Star lighting, etc. Building amenities will include an on-site covered parking garage for the residential units, a community room, laundry facilities, and a gym. And I just want to briefly, again, introduce the project team members. We have Kathleen Deegan-Dixon from Forcelli Deegan-Tirana, who is our land use attorney for the project. Mark Owens, who is a civil engineer with R&W Engineering. We have Salvatore Coco from Beatty Harvey Coco Architects, and again, Gwen O'Shea from the Community Development Corporation of Long Island. And we are available to answer all questions and address public comments.
I was going to suggest that maybe we bring Sal and Gwen also onto the panel if possible.
I will do that right now, Kathleen.
Thank you.
Sal, you've just been promoted to panelist. You can unmute and start your video. Gwen, same for you.
So Joanna gave an introduction to the project, and what CDC Long Island and Conifer are all about. Mark and Sal can discuss the site plan and the proposal for the construction on the site.
That would be great. Thank you.
All right, I guess I'll start, Sal. So basically, this site will include improvements, drainage structures, which will be located in the center of the proposed Station Street, utilities servicing the building, gas, electric. There will be a sidewalk along the north side of Station Street with pedestrian improvements, including street trees and benches located near the intersection of Main Street, as requested by the board. There will be a driveway at the east side of the building, which will provide access to the underground parking area. In the driveway, we will have refuse enclosure in the northeast corner for use by both the residents and the retail space in the front of the building. What other improvements we have? We have lighting on the side of the buildings, which will illuminate the sidewalks both on the Main Street side and the Station Street side of the building. Other than that, I don't know, Sal, if you want to just give a rundown as far as the look of the building.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Sal Coco from BHC Architects. So this building fronts Main Street and also what will be the new Station Street. It is a 3-story building with the garage tucked underneath, accessed from Station Street. The frontage along Main Street and on the corner of Station is a future retail use, and also provides access along Station to the lobby and amenity spaces for the apartments. All the apartments are elevated off the sidewalk, so they begin on the first floor, which is the site slopes from west to east, so that the apartments in the east side of the building are elevated off the ground, and the rest are on levels 2 and 3.
Sal, I'm sorry
Yes.
to interrupt, but we have the ability to share the renderings on the screen. And actually, if all of the presenters take a look at the front of their screen, there should be a little green button that says share screen. So if you have renderings that you wish to be able to present, so you're not just verbally describing, but would like to point to, you can do that as well. But Sal, we have the renderings now if you'd like us to pull it up. So
that would be terrific. That would be terrific.
And then Mark, if you want to queue up some of your documents to also use as share screen, you do have the ability and the authority to do that under this version of Zoom.
Okay, I'm not sure who's controlling that, but if you...
No, I can't see everybody and I don't know who's speaking. If you can just say your name before you speak. Because I only have 4 people on the box now, onto the right.
Oh, okay, it's Sal Coco. I think we're just zooming out to see more of the rendering. There we go. So that's the corner of Main Street and Station. We have a corner tower to help define that corner. Pairs of windows. And in this organization of the building, we're looking at scaling down the building so it appears as 2 buildings, although it's only 1 building. And if you go from left to right on the right side of the page there, you see Station Street, which leads down to the east, and the tuck under parking is on the bottom right-hand corner there. But all along Main Street, this is a 3-story building. We anticipate that storefront providing a lot of animation and activity to the ground level, and really setting a new standard as development proceeds north from here. This is right on the corner of the train station and the new Station Plaza. And this is really an opportunity to set the standard for what's happening in the future. The next view is almost directly looking along Main Street. You see the existing train station beyond, and the corner tower. There's cornices and vertical elements. We really wanted to be clear that this is a mixed-use building. It's not a fully residential building. It's not a garden apartment. There's retail at the base, apartments above, and storefronts. I don't know if you want to go to the next view, if you could. And this is more looking from the new train station plaza. And you're seeing the two building arrangement, although it's one overall building, we feel to break down the scale rather than having this very long horizontal, we still get some verticality accentuated by the corner tower. And then there's the two elements that kind of bookend the second building on the right. And we're looking at two different architectural styles, one being more lofty and one being much more clearly traditional, more of a Georgian style. If you go to the next rendering, if there is a next rendering. Well, this is just some of the material samples. We had sent in some sample boards, and we're looking at various cementitious siding and colors. These are different options. A deep ocean color for those vertical blue elements, some masonry at the base, and then a different type of masonry as you go further down to the east in that second building, or what appears to be a second building. Some natural stone accents. And there's different awning elements along the street front, and some standing seam roof on accents along the loft style building. But that's a basic presentation of the architectural elements. We have the lighting selections. And that's basically it. So I don't know if we want to go back to Mark.
I don't have the ability to pull up our drawings on my laptop here. So I don't know if our site plans were attached to your drawing set. Whoever's controlling the screen, if you could scroll through them, I can explain them.
Lou, at the bottom, does continuation of the renderings at the bottom include site planning?
I don't believe they do.
Okay.
So I'll stop sharing for now. You guys can continue, okay?
All right. So do you want to, Kathleen, does your team want to continue, or?
I wanted to mention also that we've been in discussions with the village about improvements along this, the Station Street streetscape, and that we're going to be dedicating, after we do the improvements for the sidewalk and street trees and curbing and benches and the like, we're going to be dedicating that to the village of Port Jefferson. So it'll be a public give back of an already improved and beautified piece of property. So we've been talking with the village attorney and negotiating the documents that are necessary, the development agreement, and those are in the works. And that's part of the plan that's being presented to you tonight.
All right. Thank you very much. Before we get to comments from the public, does the board have any comments they'd wish to express? Barbara?
Yes, Barbara Sabatino for Jennifer's benefit. I have some questions about the parking garage. And I would like to know, is it, it's not an underground parking garage, but it's a covered parking garage, is that correct?
Well, it is actually on, part of it is underground. So what you see when you look on the right side of the rendering is apartments. The garage kind of tucks underneath. So it goes from about 8 feet exposed, and then we go underneath the retail. So technically it's covered parking. There's really no parking garage. It's an apartment, 3 stories of apartments above one level of parking, and the parking slopes down due to the slope of the site. So we're taking advantage of the slope as it goes from west to east by sloping down in the opposite direction underneath the retail. But to characterize it as a parking garage, I think would not be how I would characterize it. It's parking below apartments, covered parking, which really is an amenity. It's only used by the residents. So, you know, they would want that to be a secure space. It's
Well,
not a public garage.
Right, which is my next question. What type of security do you plan, or is there any security? Is there a barrier where only the people allowed to use the parking garage, the parking can perhaps put in a card to, what I'm concerned about is people that shouldn't be in that parking area hanging out there. And I would like to know if there's any planned security for that area.
Yes, we have discussed putting in some type of a barrier, either an arm or a small gate that would be accessible to residents using their key fob. All of our residents in our buildings tend to use a key fob for entry. So we would try to use the same form of entry. So we have discussed that, and I think we're leaning more towards an arm. But if it turns out that there is additional security required, we may consider a gate of some form.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. Laura?
Yeah, I can share. Is it okay if I share my screen? I do have the
site plan?
The site plan, and I have a specific question.
Sure.
Okay, so do I hit share screen first and then click?
Yeah, Laura, hit share screen, and then a number of windows will come up. Whatever you have open, click the one you want to share, and then
Okay. Okay. So, okay. So this is let's see what page 4. And I'm just wondering if you guys have had, I think this is a question from Mark. And this is Laura talking still. Were you able to move this grease trap?
Yeah, you had the question about the access to the grease trap. What we're doing at the moment is we're updating our plans based on the Station Street design drawings from Bob Brown, the village engineer. What you will see on final site plan submission is that the northern 8-foot section of Station Street will be striped for no driveway. The southern 12-foot will be the drive aisle. So the access manholes for the grease trap would be accessible if, say, a pump out truck were to pull in and temporarily park along the northern curb line and cone off the inlet side manhole for cleaning. So it would be a little more clear once you see the striping plan that will be included in our final site plan set.
Okay, so while the grease trap is being serviced, there can still be traffic.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
it would still be an open lane.
And then considering there might be 2 grease traps at some point.
Yeah, that's an internal discussion we're having. We do understand the fact that if we were to stick with one, we would potentially be locking ourselves into a single wet space for the retail if it were separated into two spaces. Ultimately, our pending health department application will determine whether or not we do decide to go with two grease traps. If we think that there may potentially be two wet spaces in the retail portion in the future, that will be something that will reflect on our final site plan.
Oh, okay, and then did you guys look over the retaining wall in this back?
Yeah, I do have the digital calculations, which I will forward to
Okay,
the
because,
Jen and
you know,
Allison for you guys to review.
Okay.
I know you had some questions about the design analysis. So I will get that over to Jen so she can share that with everyone, just so you can take a look through that. But it has been designed and we feel is adequate to maintain the corner of the property.
you know, with a garbage truck and potential.
Yeah, it was designed with live loads in mind, so
Okay.
it was designed for that purpose.
And your drainage is there also, so was it designed for all of it at once?
Yes, we designed it with a live load of, I believe, 300 pounds per square foot to account for the load of a garbage truck, any loads that may be in the truck. So it was taken into account in our
That,
design.
and but while the ground was fully saturated as well?
Yes, that's
Okay.
that's all taken into account in the design analysis, which I'll get to you guys for review.
Okay, and then do you have a new lighting plan also?
I think the lighting that we had shown was our latest proposed. We had not added any additional pole lighting along Station Street. I think that was sort of pending the board's determination.
Okay, because I was wondering in our last meeting about having some sort of lighting in this area where I'm kind of moving my cursor
Right,
on the north
right. The
side.
north side of the property, right.
I know that eventually there may be a building here, but right now it's, I don't believe it's developed, so it may be a bit of a safety issue.
Okay. We will have that discussion internally, and if we feel it's appropriate, we will add some sort of lighting into the north side.
Okay, and then I think that's it for me. I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if you would pardon the interruption, Jen was able to forward the latest plans that were submitted to the village to Lou. So Mark, if you would like to, we can do a screen share, and then if you would like to walk through the plans rather than descriptively,
Sure.
but walk through them with a visual aid, I think that
Sure.
might be quite helpful.
Okay, great.
I'm pulling them up now, Allison.
Yep. All right, so this is just our cover sheet. If you want to go down, this is a existing conditions and demolition plan, which shows our construction access on the southeast corner of the proposed lot. We have a couple areas hatched out for material storage, vehicular parking, for construction vehicles, and then just some notes describing which certain items that are being removed, the existing buildings, some vegetation in the northeast corner of the property. If you go down to the next sheet, I believe we show the proposed layout. So if you look on the right side of the screen, that will be the access driveway. And then the entrance to the covered parking area is about halfway up the building. At the envelope of the building, it would begin to slope down until roughly at the halfway point of the building, it would be under the first floor at the retail space on the west side of the building. If you go to, I think if you go to sheet 4, you get a better idea of what the street improvements are going to be. So this just shows, so that just showed some of the utilities, the drainage structures in the center of Station Street. So on this sheet, you'll see, this is our utility plan. You show our grease trap on the southwest corner on Station Street. Our loading zone is at the end of the driveway with our refuse enclosures. And then I think the next sheet, oh no, did we? I guess this doesn't have the, we added some of the street trees into the planter boxes that are shown along. Yeah, I don't think it's included in this set. But yeah, so the planter boxes that you see along the curb line, we did show street trees, which the species, I guess, will be discussed with the village as far as conforming with the area that you guys had specified for Texaco Avenue, as well as the stamped concrete along the 3 feet just behind the curb line. So that's a general rundown of how the site is laid out. It will all be new sidewalk, both on Station Street and the front side of the building to the retail space. That's pretty much it. The detail on the right side just shows the wall-mounted lighting, which is shown on this plan. A little tough to see, but the little protrusions on the south side of the building. So we have some lighting on Main Street above the retail space entrances, as well as along Station Street to illuminate the sidewalk areas. And we did actually, there's 2 benches that we had shown. You guys had commented in our prior meeting that you wanted them relocated closer to Station Street, closer to Main Street rather. So I did place them between the first 3 planter boxes, which are shown there. So that you'll see on the updated set of plans. Other than that, it's the basic rundown of the site layout. If you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions from the board for Mark? All right.
I have a question.
Sure.
It's not really for Mark. It's more about the building a little bit. At the last meeting, weren't we talking about awnings and some colors? I don't know if that was ever addressed again. With these new plans, did they address any of that?
We show awnings along Main Street. I think we showed a sample of this umbrella fabric in the submission. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I thought there was discussions of maybe more awnings or like to cover more windows.
Oh,
If I'm not mistaken, Tom, I think what we spoke about, I was going to bring it up, was in the front, one of the concerns that the board raised, the board had a couple of concerns about the architecture, and part of it was, and with all due respect, the very, if you will, flatness of it. And I'm an engineer, so I'm going to say this wrong, but the concern was that it needed the front needed a little more 3-dimensionality to it, if it was possible. Like if you look at the southwest corner, you know, it's an awesome corner. It stands out a little bit. We'd like to see something more along actually the west side and the south side. So to enhance that view a little better. And if I may run with this, you know, the back of the building, and again, I don't mean anything untoward, but that the back of the building, the eastern portion, that red portion, it looks, I thought it was a parking garage, I'll be honest with you, when I first looked at the plans. So if something could be done to get away from the red, but having said that, we also requested the opinion of the Architectural Review Committee, and we have not received their recommendations back. Their recommendations aren't binding, but we wanted hopefully some, you know, additional thoughts on what could be done. But and please, anybody on the board, correct me if I'm wrong. Those seem to be the 2 big points about trying to, if you will, get away from the flatness of the front and then do something with that eastern half of the building.
Yeah, that's to my point. I don't really see anything different from the last meeting with all the comments that we had, like any of those comments were addressed. I'd like to maybe, if we can go through those comments and see if they've been addressed or if they are going to be addressed or not.
Mr. Chairman, if I may interrupt for just 1 second, the applicant is going to be meeting with the ARC on Tuesday, July 14th to go over the plans and to discuss many of the architectural expectations. So there is still more work to be done, both in-house and with the applicant, certainly with the ARC in the very near future. So I'll let the applicant speak as to what moves will be made from there, but that is my understanding, at least from an internal procedure perspective.
Yes, thank you, Allison. I was just going to mention that we have our meeting set with the ARC, so that's great. Yes, our goal is to meet with the ARC. We did submit to them initially. They asked us to provide us with more details and basically a material board showing the different materials on the facade to review with them. We will be collecting their recommendations along with the questions and requests from this public hearing, and then hunkering down with our design team to see what we can do to modify the facade. But we thought it would be best to gather all of the comments before, really sitting down and making big changes here.
Okay. And thank you, Joanna. I just wanted to also state again that the ARC's comments are not binding. They're a recommendation to us, and the planning board is the agency that, would provide the direction, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, Tom?
It's a minor comment, but on the north side of the building facing Main Street, it looks like the cornice goes over the lot line. I don't think you're going to be actually allowed to build it like that, because now you're on over somebody else's property. Should they develop their property as well? Maybe you might want to take a look at that. I mean, the cornice looks nice, but you're wrapping it around and you're going down the north side of the building and you're over the lot line.
Yeah, the detail on the construction drawing was really.
Who's speaking now?
Oh, it's Sal Coco, the architect.
Thank you.
Yes, appreciate that comment. I think what's going to happen is this will be refined. This is the rendering. We have working drawings in process, and then also the comments that we received from the Architectural Review Board. We didn't want to step ahead and start changing things without hearing from them. And I believe that's this coming Tuesday.
All right. Tom, anything else?
Good. I'm good. Sounds good. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Sal. Anybody else on the board? Okay. The only other item before I open it up to the public I'd like to bring to the board's attention is the parkland fee. We haven't discussed that yet. I think, we could talk about it now. I suppose we could talk about it during the work session, but at some point, the village requires a parkland fee, and we'll need to know information like the expected residents, the park space that's proposed for the site, if there is one, and I guess the available parkland within the vicinity of the project. So again, I just wanted to put it on the record. We can discuss it, or we can discuss it at the work session, the next work session. So.
If I could, Mr. Anderson, it was certainly our hope that the planning board would give some consideration to either a reduced or eliminated parkland fee in light of the fact that we are going to be improving and dedicating land back to the village, and that will have benches and trees. And while it's not, we're not going to pretend it's a park, it will have some features that will add a nice community benefit to the area. So we would ask that the planning board do consider that in their deliberations.
Okay, thank you, Kathleen.
Mr. Chairman, if I can make a quick clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
So the parkland fee determination is a two-part process. The first portion of the process is the determination by the planning board as to whether or not there is a necessity for a parkland fee to be assessed due to the availability of parkland in the vicinity, the number of residents expected to be in the new structure, and whether or not there's a sufficiency. So that is the portion of the parkland fee process that is considered by the planning board. Upon the determination that the planning board finds, in the event that they find that a parkland fee is something that is necessary in this instance, then the matter gets transferred to the Board of Trustees, at which point the Board of Trustees determine the reasonable fee for that need. So it's the planning board doesn't have the authority to set the fee. That's done by the Board of Trustees. The planning board has the authority to assess whether or not additional parkland facilities are deemed necessary in the vicinity.
Allison, on that question, so there would be the purview of the planning board to determine whether or not we proceed with the discussion of the parkland fees. And then the Board of Trustees would make the determination whether to waive part of or all of that, or invoke some kind of monetary fee.
So the planning board has the purview to determine whether or not there's adequate parkland to service this new population this increased population that's going to be coming into the area due to the new development. Upon a determination where the planning board finds that additional land facilities are necessary, then the matter gets transferred to the Board of Trustees, and it's for the Board of Trustees to determine what that fee would be. In the past, the fee has been done on a scale of price point per apartment, I believe, and it was by unit. I believe it was $1,500 a unit. But I'll go back to the minutes for that for sure. But that determining that fee per unit, or how they wish to calculate it, that is the purview of the Board of Trustees. So whether there's a request from the applicant to either waive a portion of that due to other considerations, or to reduce the amount per unit, that pardon me, that is the purview of the Board of Trustees, not of the planning board.
All right, not to beat this to death, but so what's before us would be to make a determination on whether or not to pursue a parkland fee, period. I mean, kind of a simplistic way to look at it.
Far less wordy than what I said, yes.
Sometimes I get lucky. I don't know, the members of the board, would you like to discuss this at the next work session? You feel we're in a position where we could make a recommendation to pursue the parkland fee?
Well, I would like to discuss it at the next work session.
May I interrupt for just a second? Just
Sure.
For the board members, section 52D 4K, so in your code books, gives a pretty comprehensive description of the parkland fee and how what the planning board considers.
Okay, thank you. So then we'll take this up, Laura, if you're okay with it, Tom?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, it sounds like we have to look at the plans and determine how much we could consider park now, like how much they're providing. Am I understanding that? With
Or
the
how much land is available nearby, I believe, that could be developed by the developer.
Okay, that's where I was a little confused. And so I definitely think it's something we need to, I wouldn't be able to talk about it now because I'd have to get, go drive over there, I guess, and then talk to Jen and, right? So I think we should we should figure this out at the next.
Because there's also a park on Texaco Avenue, which is, a 2-block walking distance, maybe even a little less. It could be something as add equipment to that park. But I would like to know the value of what they're dedicating to the village, the value of Station Street, where they would like us to consider that this is being donated to the village. So I would really like to look at that.
All right. I guess to the development team, could you provide that information to Jen so that we can discuss it at the next work session? You know, essentially what the value of the land and the value of the improvements construction-wise is being done, you know, on the benefit of the village by the development?
Yes,
Yes,
we'll
we can
provide
certainly
that
provide
to
that.
Jen.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might also suggest, as we discussed earlier, the addition of the number of expected occupants of the space, other parkland facilities
Nearby.
in the vicinity, that sort of thing as well. So that way there's a more a holistic approach.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so we'll hold off on that discussion until the next work session. And where's my scribbling? Sorry. I think that's it from me. I'd like to turn it over to the public. So, and I apologize, Lou, I know you told us how we're going to do this, but can you tell us again?
Gil, it's Lou. If anybody in the public who's as an attendee right now would like to comment, just use the raise your hand feature at the bottom of your screen. We'll give you a minute. We have one raised hands, so I'm going to unmute this person. They're listed as AT, so I'm going to unmute the mic now. Your mic's unmuted and the floor is yours.
Hi, this is Rebecca Casse from 1037 Main Street.
Can you just spell your last name, please?
Assay.
And your address?
1037 Main Street, Port Jefferson.
No, I can't see her to swear her in.
Oh,
Yeah,
do you want me to?
yeah, there should be a video in the lower left corner.
Let's see, mute.
Your camera icon is not on, so your computer is not reading your camera at the moment.
Right, I don't have that that option right now. Usually I do with Zoom, but I don't right now.
It's all right. She can proceed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so first I have to say I'm so glad that these units are being built as workforce housing as opposed to luxury apartments. So we're really excited to see that in the village. My question is, what is the plan for the roof area of this building? Will it be used for recreational space for residents? And if not, with your firm's stated interest in responsible building, as well as the village's interest in responsible building moving forward, especially being a harborside town, would the firm consider installing solar panels on the large flat area to offset some of the energy use from the complex?
We do not currently have roof community or recreational space planned on the project. And we also do not have solar panels because that tends to be a little bit pricey. But you know, we could potentially see what that cost would be and if it would fit within the budget.
Thank you. Yeah, we're homeowners and business owners in town, went the solar way, and just feel like it's the responsible thing to do in the long run. So figured we'd throw that out there in this meeting. Thank you for the information.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
There are no other hands raised at this time, Gil, and there are no questions or comments submitted in the Q&A.
All right. Seeing no other comments or participants in the meeting, I'd like to offer a motion to, or request a motion to continue this meeting on August 20th. And at that time, the public hearing will continue for any further comments. And,
I'll make the motion.
thank you.
I'll second. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, well then we're continued until August 20th. Thank you, everybody who attended. This is a project I think we're all looking forward to, and we'll see you in a month, if not sooner.
Very
Thanks,
good. Thank
everybody.
you very much.
Mhm.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Good night.